7:04, 4 past, just about 5 past. I think 5 minutes is a good enough amount of time to allow people to show up. And if people show up a little late, that's great. Otherwise, it's just me again, and that's fine as well. And I'll take this time to go over some of the notes. So, what I did between last week and this week is share screen. Um, yeah. So I took the I'm kind of trying to learn more about using Teams and leveraging um, the tools that Teams has. So Teams is really made for teams, organizations to work together, share files, keep chat all in one spot, and keep information. That's all organized within the program of Teams by creating teams, and then you can create channels within each one. And then within each channel, you can have a section for files, a section for um, the chat, any chat, and then sections for whatever else. It's interesting because Teams has been around for a long time, uh, before COVID, and it was something when it came out. There's a lot of people that didn't like it right away. I think a lot of people see Microsoft programs come out and immediately dislike them. Um, they have a history of not having great or programs that are frustrating to use. Um, but I don't have that same relationship with Microsoft in the sense of I understand they make mistakes. Not everything they do is great, but at the same time, they make some good stuff. I like Teams. I liked it when it came out. It ties into SharePoint pretty well. If you've ever used if you ever use SharePoint, OneDrive, all that, it brings everything together, especially if you're working with a larger organization where people aren't around at the same time. It's nice. You can also run into which I've run into when people don't want to use Teams and stick with old ways. Then that's when it becomes really kludgy because you're you're working in two different environments, and the whole point of Teams and programs like Teams, systems, environments like Teams is to consolidate and streamline things. But in any case, one of the things you can do is create a OneNote notebook for the teams, especially and specifically, and everybody that's within the team or the channel. You can assign permissions as you want, has access to it. So I set up this one for this group, Genesis Network, and I just started, put a little welcome one in there just for people, anybody new coming in. If we set up the Patreon and kind of try to bring people in that way, anybody or we invite people in, anybody can read this and kind of get a top level. And we can refine this as we grow or evolve. If we have want to put anything else in there. Anyway, the other major thing though is I put in the topical notes, and that's just like stuff we could talk about throughout the course of the week or whenever I put this in. These were things that I was like, oh, these are things that I'd love to talk about and go over with the people in the Genesis Network group. And some of these were from our original conversation. So I watched the introductory meeting again, and I've been going through it, marking it. I'm going to cut it up and put it into different pieces. Um, and part of it is actually and I can actually go over what I'm about to explain. Part of it was a good way for me to practice chopping up a video for a project that I want to work on. I've been working with Sean on, and it is basically a video trimming service. Um, and I thought of this because anyway, because I've been editing videos, um, and I was thinking about the effort that it takes to to do the editing stuff, and it really is like when you. I feel like when I was first learning things, and I don't think it's unique to me. I think a lot of people go through this when when you're first learning something technical, where there are, a lot of technical steps and stuff, it can get very overwhelming, and especially if it's something that you have to do but aren't necessarily interested in doing. So editing, cutting things up and editing at first for me, I don't, I'm starting to actually enjoy it now, but at first I hated it. And part of it was probably, it's probably had to do with the fact that I wasn't good at it. Why I hated it. Um, but anyway, all the content creators that are, excuse me, coming out now, and all the AI that's coming out, and the AI products are out there that are doing this, chopping up, editing, and I've used some of them. They're not good. I shouldn't say they're not good. They don't. They're not what a human would do, and I think you can make processes, and I think I have a process here that I think can be followed by a human easy enough. But even if not by a human, it's a process that can be trained into an agent or an AI. Which brings me to another topic I want to discuss at some point is the idea of, you know, uh, a, a perspective of a business, like an idea of how that might look, um, in terms of agents. Like, so instead of thinking of employees or job roles or whatever, I guess it is job roles basically, but those job roles uh, are are occupied by agents, and by using the term agent, it's it can be either human or technological, computer. By and the only thing that defines an agent is, I think I have this written down as well, baby. Um, but anyway, what defines it as an agent is something or someone, an operator that does a task. So I guess you could call an agent an operator, but that not just one task necessarily, probably just one task. Like that's the idea, to get it into one task. And that way, if you're looking at it this way and you have a job, well, if we look at this, for example, so this is the steps. All right, so these are the business steps here. Um, and if you think about it in the sense of there are two, four, five steps. So you got catalog, original content, add interest markers, clip mark moments, trim clips, and catalog clips. So if the whole media trimming process is that those five steps, right? So those are five agents because they're doing five different things. Um, and I broke them down that way. I tried to like break the process down into like actionable things. So that top level catalog original content, that's the actionable thing. That's the agent that's involved. So there may be like different things. So with the catalog original, okay, yeah, the catalog of original content is just the first step of the process is the client comes in and says, "Hey, I have these pieces of media. We'll just say it's video. I've got this video. It's 30 minutes long. I need it trimmed. And what we mean by trimming is we're going to cut it up into like spots that make sense, and give it back to them. So so when I say spots that make sense, it's not just like cutting up every 5 minutes or whatever. I mean, that's something that AI can do, or not even AI, automation could do. But what we want to do is review it, like put the personal or the human element is going to be, has to be at this point, because we don't have what my argument is that AI doesn't do it well. Um, to review and say, all right, what are moments of interest in the video? And my thought is, like, you could watch any video. I mean, it's subjective, yes, but if you know you're looking for something interesting, or there's some sort of guideline. So when I say moments of interest, maybe it's a video that in that 30-minute video, they want to identify whenever a car passes by a location. So yeah, let's say it's a CCTV feed, and this would be kind of fun actually. CCTV feed, and you just need to, they want to mark on the video times every time a car goes by. And then so that's, somebody sits there and just marks whenever a car goes by. Yes, AI could do this probably. That probably would be easy enough. But let's say it's something with the video I just chopped up, the introductory meeting or the introduction meeting. I find, people during the conversation, there were different points that were brought up, and there were different points where people got excited about something maybe, and I'd mark it there. So I ended up with, I think it was a 45-minute video total, but I had so many markings on there. Like in the first 15 minutes or so, I had a significant amount of markings, far more than I thought I would. But that's the point, like that's the point, like having that human element to be able to find that. So once those markings are made, and in my model that I'm using now, starting off, it's using Adobe Premiere Pro. But in thinking about it, using an open source software that will be cheaper, depending on how many people you have actually doing the work. And you can probably find a software that's far easier to teach and train on, but maybe not. Well, OpenShot is one that Dominic's actually looking at for me. I did a little bit of looking at it, and it seemed like it would do it. But anyway, once those markers get added to the project, for whatever software is going to be used, another agent takes over after that, and then we'll clip them. So the marking isn't doing anything for as far as editing goes. That's a separate entity. It gets shifted over to a new agent is going to actually like cut it. And those points of cutting, I was thinking about that today. It wouldn't be on the mark necessarily. I think there's be some automation that goes into play and some playing around with where the barriers would be. So maybe, we say it's a 5-minute cut. Every clip is going to be 5 minutes, in which case every marker would be, the cut would be made 2 minutes and 50 seconds before and 2 minutes and 50 seconds after the marker. And then you got a 5-minute cut for each one. And then that physical work's done. Then it moves on to the next agent, and that agent's job is to actually trim those cuts. So it's really a production line going through. So they trim the cuts to whatever it makes sense to be, merge things where they need to be for consecutive ones. And then finally it gets cataloged. So you document everything. You had these clips, they're this long, maybe put a description in there. I don't know, but the point is that goes through, and it's very low overhead. And I think there's one of the things that I like about it a lot. It's very low to no skilled work. So it's something that you could probably use as a way to, give people employment who need employment, or who are looking for employment, at a low cost. So, I mean, if you think about this is the type of business model that would use, if you were to be the most efficient financially, probably go overseas and pay $2 an hour, $1 an hour, whatever the case may be, to at a much lower rate than you would pay minimum wage here. I had a thought today about and I put it in the notebook here. And then that's the video edit. It says video editing agency, which it's really trimming. But I was thinking some more today on, yeah, I think I put it here. Um, how it could expand a bit. Yeah, so this is the, oh, and the other thing with open source was being able to do scripting with it. So you can put in the automations as need be, and like it'd be like making VBA for Excel. Like you can make macros and those types of things with the right programs. There it is. So over here, oh yeah. So I called it video editing, but I was thinking today it's kind of stages. So you could grow this business, start off at media trimming, and then you once you get really good at that, we offer audio mastering. Once we get really good at that, video editing, media hosting, media production, and media distribution. So it turns into kind of like it's a walkway to an empire. I'll be honest, like that's my dream, I guess. I just want an empire. That's all. So, and this is kind of a description of what each thing is uh, handles, right? So audio master, so video trimming or media trimming is what we just talked about over there. So you're going to handle MP4s, audio and video files that could be trimmed up. Audio mastery, we take in the WAV files and we can use Mixia. Like it's a media mastering service. That's what I'd use to whenever I publish a song to Spotify or something. I'll use Mixia first to master my track and then go through. I don't do any mixing on my own. Very little mixing on my own. Mixia does it for me. Then I pay a fee for that, but it's like an annual fee though. So I don't worry about it too much, and I use it. I definitely get my money's worth. Video editing. So after we get the audio mastery, then it goes into video editing. And then what we do there. So we've already done the media trimming, so that would be included with it. But then if we wanted to add graphics or anything else, like, your typical video editing stuff, a little bit more fine tune, making it look nice, as opposed to just cutting it up into resources. Then media hosting. So my idea with this is I've had an idea for a website for a little bit now anyway. And not a social media website necessarily, but a portfolio website where it's basically what MySpace kind of became in a way, but not really. But the website would be basically for creative people to just have a portfolio. Their pages are their portfolios, so that you build the site in a way that like caters to that, like make layouts that are um, conducive to showing images, or so I guess you deal with mostly creative stuff like music, uh, art, so pictures, um, and then probably even you can probably even like put some web design in there, like because I think that kind of falls into that art creative space or whatever. And even the page layouts, maybe like with the web design stuff, the web development piece of it, maybe you could even promote that to as a contest or like as a way to like a marketplace to like templates for people's pages and stuff. But anyway, so that's my idea for that. It's just a social media site of sorts, but that it's for creative people and it acts as a portfolio for them. And then there could be like, communication reviews, connections, blah, blah, blah. And the first members of those um, sites, like we'd have a base. We just take whoever our customers are, because those are most likely um, creative content creators, uh, and we'll go ahead and pitch market to them. Like that's we've done the work, and they can be the first members. Maybe we like create sites for them already and just kind of whatever. Thinking far ahead. Media production after that, let's just we can create content to support the site, and then media distribution, offer networking deals for media distribution for everybody on the site. But anyway, that's really long term. Um, all the other stuff was all I'm really concerned with right now is the first part here. Um, so what I was getting back to though was the wages and hiring people. What I was saying was like this would be something easy. You could hire people overseas, $2, $1 an hour, versus keeping it here and giving a job opportunity for low skilled, no skilled people who need a job to have a job at minimum wage. Like that would be the whole point of it. Um, I put that though. Oh, I put it here. Yeah. American low wage job market. So my thought was, what if what if there was a company or some organization or whatever that rather than chased that high paying, you know, raise the wages and stuff like that, or the highest rate were, competitive wages, just put it out as like, we pay minimum wage. Always will pay minimum wage. That's what the pay is to keep the costs as low as possible. But the jobs there are, really easy, no skill, low skill jobs that are well worth, or probably probably paying too much for something that I could go overseas to pay $1, $2. I'll pay whatever the minimum wage is, just so that there's another job opened up in the United States. And I think, and what got me thinking of it was like, there's so many menial jobs that are out there. And I guess the question is, well, if there are so many, why aren't people taking them if they're there? Um, and I feel, I don't know, if it's something to investigate, to discuss. But I think that with the jobs that are minimum wage or whatever, they're marketed to everybody, and which is the problem with jobs being at minimum wage. Like a minimum wage job, I guess technically is supposed to give you the cost of living, but it's just realistically that's not going to happen. I don't know in a time in my life where that would have been the case. I have to, I'd have to look at the history. I don't recognize a time in my life though. That just means it didn't happen. But because I feel like when I was in high school at 16, I had my first job, and minimum wage was 5.10, something like that. It was low fives, and I remember getting a raise to like 5.25 when minimum wage increased, and so I can't imagine that somebody would be able to live at 5.25 an hour. Even then, like that seems really low. Let's look at this. Let's take this opportunity to check this out. Um, what is that? All right, so we got so 1996 minimum wage in Maine. What did you say minimum wage overall? 4.25. So federal wage was 4.25. 470. Oh, yeah. US minimum wage, we'll just do that. 425 an hour. So 425 an hour is what? $170 a week. Is that math right? Because that looks really low. That's if somebody's working at minimum wage. So say you're 425 an hour. So you got 40 hours a week. 425 times 40. If I did this right. 4.25 times 40 equals 170. Yeah. And then multiply that by 52. So 52 weeks in a year. $8,840 in a 40-hour a week. So that's to 1995 economy prices. What website is this? Oh my goodness. I may have gotten a virus, guys. Um, Cost of a new home, 158,000. So the median household income is 34,000, and then that's 8,000. That's like a third. So there's no way that somebody could live on a minimum wage. So basically, I just went on a whole rant for no reason. But let me stop sharing. So I'm gonna wrap this up. So I did a recording before this. Like I decided I'm creating another show. Getting the Andre Davis show. I'm doing my own little. This is a podcast. It is a podcast, whatever. Uh, but it's solo, so I'm just gonna kind of try to develop it going through. I was making the intro for it before this. I think I have it at the beginning of the recording, maybe. Um, but yeah, it's kind of had some thoughts on my head. I think I just needed to vent, or need a good vent spot. And at this point, I'm comfortable enough in front of the camera and playing around with video and putting myself out there where it's fun, not a big deal at this point. So let's leave on that in the sense of um, some advice, or not advice. You don't need advice from me, but like just something to think about in the sense that everybody starts someplace. Like there's a beginning point, and I think today's culture really puts the spotlight on the successful, but it's such a it's such a bright spotlight, and it's such a flash that get blinded by that and completely forget that, or don't take into consideration everything that was there before that. Like it you just see what that final result is. But it's probably not the final result. They're probably in the middle of progressing to something else. I mean, think about all those actors and stuff that you saw a long, long time ago, and that were bit parts in movies and all that, and now they're huge stars and all kinds of stuff. And you're like, oh, I never really would have considered that, thought that would be the case. But the point is, like, people grow, and people grow by doing things, and by, I don't want to say put in the work. I mean, yeah, I guess that's like the motivational thing. I don't respond well to that. Or I say I don't respond well to that. I probably do. I probably respond greatly to that kind of stuff. But in any case, the point is, I'm finding over the past couple of years, really just coming back to it, whatever it is, and adding a little bit more here and there, um, built up to something, compound interest, I guess. And it shows up for me in ways that I wouldn't have expected. That the work that I've done and played around with, I don't even really call it work necessarily, but the experimenting and trying different things, which is experimenting, have really paid off in other areas. But that's enough. I'm done rambling. By 7 o'clock Monday next week, hopefully, people can make it.